Hey everybody, welcome back to the Old Swedes Farm. Got part 2 of our little series on how far does my ham radio talk. Today we're going to talk about the 3 higher HF frequencies, the more common ones, and that is 20 meters, 15 meters, and 10 meters, or 14, 21, and 28 megahertz. Now behind me you can see my, it's a Cushcraft A3. It's a tri-bander, so it works on 3 bands, the tri. 3 elements. The middle element is the driven element. That's the only element that actually transmits. You know, the feed line we talked about that goes out the back of your radio and goes up to your antenna. One side of it hooks to one side of that antenna, the middle element, and one attaches to the other element. Now the back element is slightly longer. That's a reflector. It's slightly longer and it will reflect the signal forward. The other is a director. The front element is a director and it helps direct the signal forward. So I've got that pointed towards Europe right now. But it's a modified side. If you see up there, there are traps. Those little things towards the end that get a little bigger, those are called traps, and there's just wire wound in there to make the antenna, make the radio think that the antenna is longer. So on 10 meters, 28 megahertz, it's using the whole element straight. Then on 15 meters, it's using one of those traps involved, and on 20 meters, using another one to make it think it's a little longer. So if we were using just dipoles, you know, again, you don't need that antenna to talk to Europe or around the States from here. If you had a dipole, as we're getting higher, remember the last video we were talking about the low frequencies, and some of those antennas, those dipoles were long, you know, 100 and some feet or 150 feet. These ones for the higher frequencies are getting smaller. They're easier to make. They're easier to get up a tree. You know, you can use them in limited space. A dipole for 20 meters or 14 megahertz is only like 33 feet long, so 16 feet on a side from that center insulator. 15 meters or 21 megahertz is like 22 feet, and then for 10 meters or 28 megahertz, it's only like I don't know, 16 feet, so 8 feet on a side. They're pretty darn small when you get up in frequency, so not a lot of wire involved, easier to get up the tree, not as much weight there. So just want to show you the antenna for, again, 20 meters, 15 meters, and 10 meters, and we're going to head inside the radio room and talk about propagation and how far you can talk on those frequencies. We'll be right back. All right, I'm inside, back in the radio room where it's a little warmer and not as windy. You know, on the low frequencies, we talked about that D layer getting involved, and that D layer is not so much involved up the higher you get. So these frequencies are able to punch right through, that signal punches right through that D layer, and you're bouncing off the E and the F layer. Now there's, again, I don't want to get into a 2-hour dissertation on propagation and all that, but again, the weather isn't involved with this, but there are different times of the cycle. There's a sunspot cycle, 11-year sunspot cycle, where there's more sunspots, less sunspots, and it peaks every 11 years. Now we're pretty close. This is being filmed the end of 2023. We're pretty close to the peak of the solar cycle, and so there are more sunspots. There's more energy being radiated from the sun. It is charging up the ionosphere more. And so we've got some pretty good conditions. 28 megahertz or 10 meters, you can talk worldwide just about every day with really loud signals. And we'll listen to a couple of things here, hopefully. If you're on a CB down at 27 megahertz, you've probably already noticed that you can possibly talk worldwide with pretty low power on your CB. I'm not a CBer, so I don't know, but I would assume if 10 meters or 28 megahertz is open worldwide, so is 27 megahertz. So if you're a CBer, you're probably taking advantage of the solar cycle as well. There are times at the bottom of the sunspot cycle where 10 meters doesn't open up for quite a long time. There is a phenomenon in the E layer called sporadic E in the summer, where you've got more sunlight when the Earth is tilted for us in the summertime, tilted towards the sun. There's more charging of that E layer, and you get some sporadic E. It's charging up that E layer, and the signals are able to bounce off that E layer. Other than that, there could be years where it's pretty slow on 10 meters. Right now, all that charging is up in the F layer, and so we're talking, you can hear Europe quite often. It's late morning as I'm filming this. You can hear Europe quite a bit. 20 meters, 15 meters, and 10 meters, I always like to follow the sun. In the morning, when in the morning hours, when the sun's to the east of us and it's charging up there and the sunlight is still in Europe, I'm pointed towards Europe, Asia, or parts of Asia and Africa to the east. It's kind of pointing towards Europe is about 45 degrees for me. As the day progresses, Europe starts to fade out, and I'm working more South America, the Caribbean, Central America with good strong signals. As the day progresses and the sun is moving to the west, so does propagation. Europe is almost gone on 10 and 15 meters completely, but that's the time I look 45 degrees to the west, and the Japanese stations are coming in. Australians, New Zealand, all of Oceania, Hawaii is very loud. You're getting into Europe, the Koreans and Japanese and some of the Russians. So that is kind of the propagation and where you can talk. Now during that time also, you're hearing stateside from here. On 10 meters, it's going to be, you know, get my atlas out here. For 10 meters, let me start low. For 20 meters, you know, during the day, I can talk most of the states here. Probably starts about 600 miles out or so and comes around. I'm not talking locally like I could on the lower frequencies, but most of the country I can talk to on 20 meters. 15 meters, it's probably skipping out quite a distance. I'm not hearing stuff out 600-800 miles at all. I'm hearing probably a ring that's out quite distant. And then on 10 meters, probably the same thing with quite loud signals. But I'm also on those frequencies hearing probably Europe, I'm hearing Africa, I'm hearing quite a bit. So let me give you a demonstration of what it is. I'm going to try, you know, see if we can hear what is going on, and this is late morning. Now there's call signs. Everybody's got a call sign. If you're a ham radio operator, you've got a call sign, and it tells where you are. U.S. stations, just like our broadcast stations, they're going to start with a K or a W. Also, you could have an A or an N in the United States. So if you hear someone that starts with a K, you know where they are. They're in the U.S. If you hear a Canadian, they're going to have a VE call. Every country has its own prefix that they use, and that helps to identify where stations are located. So by me listening, I can tell generally where a station is just by their call sign. Most of the stations also have a number after them. I'm in the Midwest, so I've got a 0 call. East Coast has 1s, 2s, and 3s. The 4s are down kind of in the southeast. The 5s are down south. A K or a W6 is traditionally in California. 7s are out west, kind of that Washington, Idaho, Montana area. 8s are Michigan, Ohio, and West Virginia, and 9s are Illinois, Wisconsin, and Indiana. So it kind of gives you an idea where they are just by hearing their call sign. So I'm on 20 megahertz or 20 meters, 14 megahertz. Here's someone who's operating from a park, and there's a lot of stations calling. This gal is in a park. Whiskey 3, his call was Whiskey 3, a Whiskey 3 call. Sorry, my computer timed out. A Whiskey 3. So I think based on that, W, whiskey, he's in the U.S., and a 3, he's probably in Pennsylvania, Maryland, out there, Pennsylvania, Maryland area, with a 3 call, and Delaware. Let's see. There would. So a Kilo Oscar 4, KO4 for the call sign. So that guy is a KO4, K US, and a 4. He's down in the southeast US. So I'm hearing kind of all around the country, but out probably 900,000 miles, and this is on 20 meters. There it is, northeastern Pennsylvania. So talking out about 1,000 miles, pretty common on 20 meters during the day. Lots of good, strong signals all around the country. You know, I talked on another video about portable antennas. I've got that little whip on my car. I can talk all around the country on that on 20 meters. Real easy with my mobile radio. Let's go up to 15 meters, or
I get this paid for the basketball club for you guys. And so you make friends with their parents, and suddenly your kids get a bit older and it's difficult again. And,
15 meters. Now I'm pointed towards Europe. He sounds like someone from the United Kingdom. He will probably, if he gives his call sign, have a G call. So they're just, they call it rag chewing. They're just talking, and I popped in the middle of that conversation, but let's see if usually after each transmission they'll give their call sign. So let's see what. It just made it quite horrible up there, and I was buying more and more filters, and I thought, let's get on the guard. And this has been wonderful. I got a little log burner behind me. Because there's no internet, there's no mains voltage, kids never want to be down here. Sounds like he's at a portable location operating. Might be on holiday. The fun of ham radio. Everybody's got something to talk about, whether they're looking for a park or trying to get a new country. These guys are just talking and sharing what they're. Wish he'd give his call sign. Nice to be down here. I've currently got a son working in North America. He's across the border. He's in Canada. He's working in Banff. And he started ski instructing. All right, I'm going to move on. He sounds English. He sounds like from British Isles. You just have to tune. Of course, there was a station I could hear. It skipped to his location. You know, that's one thing. He's talking to someone. My antenna is hearing his signal. The station he's talking to is in between, and it's skipping over. I'm not able to hear him. That station, his Fox 5, Mike X-Ray Hotel. Fox 5, he is from France. The French stations start with an F. Let's see what. Okay, there's a whole bunch of stations here trying to call someone in a different country. That Echo Alpha 7, EA is the prefix for Spain, so he's in Spain. So 15 meters is really good to Europe right now. Let's try 10 meters. Let's see where there's someone on this frequency on 10 meters. I'm on 28 megahertz. Let's see what. Now he sounds like he's got a French accent too. Let's see. Foxtrot 4. So F4 is the start of his call sign. He's in France, and as you can see, I don't know if you can see me. Very, very loud signal. And he's talking, he said he was talking to someone PY, which is Brazil. Now I'm pointed up towards Europe, so I'm getting most of my signal from Europe. He's talking to Brazil. I would have to turn 90 degrees off of this to hear Brazil. But the French station's again coming through on. So, no, he's not as loud, but Echo Alpha, EA is his prefix, so he's in Spain. Let's see if.
Are you calling us?
Let's see if there's another. I'm filming this on a.
Yankee calling any station outside the United States. Calling CQDX. Any station outside the United States. Yankee,
Okay, November. So a November 2, an N in the U.S. and a 2. 2 is in the East Coast, New York and New Jersey. So we're getting a lot of distant stations, DX they call them, but the signal is still quite. You know, if I'm looking at U.S. contacts, you know, this originally came from emergency communication. Rich, how far can you talk on your ham radio in an emergency? 20 meters, I could talk throughout most of the United States. Other than this local area, it's skipping over. The signal is skipping over that. But those lower frequencies I talked about on the last video could cover that. 20 meters in an emergency, if I needed to talk to someone out here, no problem. You heard lots of signals. 15 meters, 21 megahertz, and 10 meters, 28 megahertz. I'm hearing some really distant stations. Europe, in this case, just because of the time of day. I'm also hearing stuff very distant, you know, New York or New Jersey. We were hearing some 3s, but most of it was Europe. So could I talk to the States? Probably. It might be skipping over, but if I wanted to talk to someone in the States, I'd be talking down on 20 meters. Hopefully this gave you a feel for the higher frequencies. They're quite distant, lower power, smaller antennas, and you can talk pretty well across all of the US on 20 meters. You can talk around the world on 20 meters as well. But 15 and 10 meters this time of the sunspot cycle, nice and easy to talk into Europe and around the rest of the world. If there's further questions on this, I'm going to do another video just on the VHF and UHF bands, the really high frequency stuff, just so you get a feel for that. But if you've got questions about the higher bands, about 20 meters, 15 meters, and 10 meters, and I should say, 20 meters, when signals leave your radio, when I key up my microphone and my signal leaves my radio through my antenna, the reason why they call it 20 meters is because for the signals go through the air, you know, out to other stations. They don't just travel straight. They wave up and down. And for it to make a complete wave is 20 meters in length. At 28 megahertz, that wave to go up and down is only 10 meters in length. That's why they call it that. That's why on the lower frequencies, 160 meters you saw in that last video, for that wave to go through the air, it's 160 meters long for that wave to travel through the air. Now again, you can't see radio waves, but they've measured that. I don't know how, but they've measured it. So, and that's why the antennas are longer at a lower frequency and smaller at a higher frequency. You're trying to get it a wavelength long or a portion of that. Try to not get into all sorts of electronic theory. Try to just keep it real high. And where can you talk to? If you've got questions about the various frequencies and you know how far they travel or any of that, put it down below. If I missed something, completely put it down below. If you got other ideas for videos, I'm trying to keep these kind of high level, light. I will say that talking to other countries, talking around the world is what I really enjoy with ham radio. I like talking to people around the States, but also I like talking around the world to stations. When you get on the air and you never know who you're going to talk to. It could be someone in England or France like we talked to, or it could be someone in Saudi Arabia coming back to you, quite a few more hops out. That's the fun of ham radio. And you never know who you're going to come into contact with or what you're going to talk about. It's a lot of fun. If you haven't, I'll put a note down below where you can get a license manual out on Amazon. Real easy to get your license. There's a couple different levels, but don't want to get into that either. If you have other questions or ideas for other videos, something I might have missed, let me know. Love doing these videos and had some really good feedback. So thanks everybody for watching, and hope to catch you on the air. Take care.